attracted you to this project after all this time? I mean, are you always been a fan of the Apes
Yeah,
movies?
I was a passionate fan of Planet of the Apes from when I was a kid. I had the dolls. I had an 8 millimeter reel of Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I had the treehouse. I mean, I was obsessed. And to be honest, I was fascinated with the John Chambers makeup and the way that those gorillas looked on horseback with the guns. Like, I wanted to become an ape. And when I saw Rise, the thing that blew, of course I wanted to see it because I'd been a Planet of the Apes fan since I was a kid. The thing that blew me away was that in the movie, I became an ape, but in a way that I never had before, which was emotionally. The crazy thing about that movie is the most human character in the story is not a human. It's an ape, and it's Andy Serkis. So for me to get involved in something that connected to my childhood, but also was something that I felt was relevant to my life now, was really, really exciting, and I just couldn't resist.
Now, how is this second one going to be different? I mean, the first one set it up everything
Yeah.
actually pretty well. So how is the second one going to be feel?
Well, I mean, obviously the idea is that we know where it ends up. That's Planet of the Apes. And we know where it began now because that was Rise. And this is that moment in time. It doesn't become Planet of the Humans and the Apes, but this is that moment where it could have become that. And so it's all about the sort of tension of watching these two communities and trying to see if there's some way that they can get along, coexist. But there's the threat of survival is looming under all of this. And so the question of violence is always there. So it's an emotional story, but it's also a kind of thrilling, suspenseful, and at times really scary story.
Real fast, last question is who's the protagonist and the antagonist in this one? I mean, who are you supposed to be cheering
Well,
for?
that's the whole thing, is that there are no antagonists, in that there are no villains. Everybody is trying to survive for reasons that are totally relatable. This is a really, really difficult situation that they're in. And as you were in Rise, the thing, I think your heart is primarily with Caesar. It's his movie. What I was really interested in doing was doing a movie that continued that ape point of view movie, because that was the thing I was so blown away with. That as a fan from the original series, what I thought was so interesting about this new sort of reboot and this reinvention was this idea of exploring emotionally the life of the apes. And I thought that's where this has to begin. But then we actually, once we explore their world, we then set up the human world, and you are meant to feel for them as deeply as you do for the apes. So then the question becomes, well, what's going to happen? How do we get out of this? And that's the tension of the movie.
Okay, well, I appreciate it.
My
It looks
pleasure.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.